Ladies and gents, welcome. My name's Wasmatic. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, or as the narrator would have us believe, Stanley Parable 2. So, we're exploring all of the different routes, and this time we're going to explore a route with the bucket and take the one route left along this path that we haven't taken yet.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
So we're going to go up there now. Last episode we jumped down here and went that way, so... And then
Good,
down there as well.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
We're going to get a restart. Ooh.
Now pick up the phone,
said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Okay. This is looking more like a house than an office. Press H to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Probably not. When have I ever? Where's my bucket? Where's my bucket? There it is. Press X to go back to work.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Why a liquid? Sand isn't a liquid. You can put sand in a bucket. Don't listen to the loud man. Press R for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal.
Well, you're not giving me any other option. But then, I guess that's the point of the Stanley Parable. Press P to ignore anyone in your life except for me. If this isn't going to shut my wife off from talking to me.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
I think he's starting to fall in love with my bucket. You get hands off. Okay, I have no choice.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Press O to go home, to work, to home, to work, to home. Yes.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No, 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 no,
Leave
no, no. What's
away,
going on?
aye.
Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
It's time for a bit of alone time. Some candles, just me, the bed, and the bucket. Hey, baby, let's get it on.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Okay. Just me and the bucket. So, I think we've exhausted all of those avenues. Let's try those same routes without the bucket now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
If it's there.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Let's ignore the bucket. This looks different. Is this different? No, it's not.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Okay.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, he didn't.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh. Let's try this way without the bucket. Does it make any difference?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Back to the beginning.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. What a room, Stanley thought to himself. What a room, what a room, what a room. This is what Stanley thought. What a room, what a room, what a room, what a room. Va-va-voom, what a room.
It's a different narrative every time you go into this room.
Yeah, but eager to get back to business,
I missed
Stanley
a bit
took
more.
the first open door on his left.
No, we're not. So now we're exploring.
Stanley was so bad at following directions.
That
it's
direction.
Incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult.
This feels like it's back to the normal Stanley parable.
Nothing but you. What? Really?
Yeah, it
I was
is.
in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
This is the Miriam ending.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Hey, look.
Let me prove another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Mini
Stanley
stands.
figs. What about Stanlerines?
Stanlerines,
yes, I
like
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Okay, this time we're going to do as we're
Now
told.
listen carefully,
Go
this
through
is
the red
important. Stanley walked through the red door.
door. Right, we'll do as we're told this time.
Thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time?
Oh, now we're in the
problem
loop.
is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now.
So if this is
Don't
the
you see
same,
that
I'm
it's
going to
killing
skip
us,
back to the
Stanley?
next restart once it's finished.
I wanted to stop.
Okay, so yes, that was the same ending as the original game, so let's go try again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
There are some endings that I have missed, obviously. So we'll go through this door
Stanley
again.
came to a set of two open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the
So
first
this time
open
we'll
door
take the
on his
cargo
left.
lift to the top. And we don't have the bucket this time, so it may well
Stanley
give us
was
the
so
original
bad at
ending.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Who's
This is it,
her?
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Is this the bucket?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Is it the bucket?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley.
Mrs.
I'm trying
Was
to get
has.
you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
I can't move. I'm going to try.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ooh.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oh, God. Good morning, employee 427. Press T on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every
you
button that
reckon?
he pushes
My wife's
is a
quite
reminder
fit.
of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Do with a bit of sun. Bit pasty.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
This feels like it's more social commentary now than video game commentary.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
H to spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
It really does feel like social commentary here.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Oh, I haven't seen the baby ending yet.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Is this commentary about video games, escapism from real life?
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Choice. I have no choice. I'm going to leave this and see what happens. Okay. Yeah, the agony of choice is that there is no choice.
You see? Can he just not hear me?
We're back in the office now.
That he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried...
Please die. There we go, ladies and gents. More weirdness in the Stanley Parable. I think that was episode 7. Starting to lose count now. And I will leave it there for now. Don't forget, I stream 3 nights a week on twitch.tv/wasmatic. And give us a like and a subscribe because it's lonely here on YouTube without you. Bye for now.